Good morning and welcome to day 2 of the 2019 Flat Track Fever Roller Derby Tournament, and it's a WFTDA recognized tournament. This morning we're bringing to you live from Calgary, Alberta, game number 7, where the CRDA's Jane Deeres will take on the nuclear-free roller derby Boom. I'm Clumsy Lover.
And I'm Professor Aggressor. So happy to be here. Thanks for having me as well. We have a fantastic game tonight between these two rival teams. Really looking forward to a great game today.
Yeah. So these teams have met each other numerous times before in the past, and between the two, they've had quite a bit of changes in rosters over the last couple of years. So really today, it's going to be anybody's game, basically.
It really could be. I'm really excited to see it. We have some fantastic starting jammers lined up for us today, so we will see how things are going. So let's introduce our teams at this point. We'll start off with the Jane Deere from Calgary. Here we go. So for the roster, we're starting off with Blair Block. We also have Shell C3PO, Madam Mim, Mamer, Lady Bits, Jigs, Luscious Lynn, Sonia Blade, Punchkin, Andy Lincoln, In a Flash, Eva Whip, Rogue Rash, Knitmare, Rolling Blackout, Masquerade, Lush Luthor, and Brass Monkey. For our bench staff for Jane Deere, we also have Kiki, Engage, Moan Alicia, Baby Slice, and the photographer Gwen's-Day Adams. And again, Jane Deere is from Calgary Roller Derby here in Calgary, Alberta.
And up for the nuclear-free Boom, we have Dank the Tank, Cakes, Troublegum, Jazernaut, and today's captain, Joe Means Joe. And we also have Repeat, Schmidt Disturber, Marauder, Argentina, Rude Barbie, Monstrosity, Malady, Ramela Anderson, my apologies, Dame Tamer, Be Ruthless, and for bench staff we have Bellicose Blonde, Lady Macbeth, Starfish, Renshile, and Fish. Now, Fish actually was originally on the roster for the NFRD Boom, but unfortunately she's down on injury, so she won't be playing this weekend, but they're happy to have her on the bench, which is super exciting for her.
Absolutely. That's great to know for sure. And at this point, too, we are about 13 seconds away to Derby time, so we are getting pumped and excited here in this early Saturday morning in Calgary, Alberta.
So we're just lining up for our very first jam. Up on the line for jammers, we have 624 Masquerade for the Jane Deeres, and 1111. I guess she's going under Joe Means Joe. Typically her derby name is Gypsy Joe, but I guess for this weekend, she's Joe Means Joe.
Joe Means Joe, and here we go.
And we've got our first lead of the day. Masquerade takes the outside for your lead jammer.
That was quick.
Joe Means Joe is fighting the sea of green blockers on corner 1 and gets out on her initial pass as Masquerade is pushed to the outside on her first scoring pass. Masquerade touches her hips, calling it off, putting 3 points on the board for the day. We're off to a good start.
We are off to a good start. That was a quick recycle and a quick call off for that jam. That was a quick one. We're at 29:20. That was a 40-second jam. There we go.
So yesterday we had a bunch of games that went into like really high amount of jams. We had one game go into like 23 or 24 jams in a half. So there's been a lot of super short jams this weekend.
Absolutely.
All right, on the line for NFRD, we have number 28, Marauder. And for the Jane Deeres, we have number 93.
That's right. Rogue Rash, looks like.
Rogue Rash. Rogue Rash gets the lead.
Number 28 coming in from behind, and the jam is called off.
Rogue Rash calling it off just in the nick of time, keeping Boom to 0 on the board. Jane Deere's maintaining their lead at 6 points. On the line for the Jane Deers, we have
Lady Bits, I do believe, 1407.
perfect. And I'm not sure. Oh, that's Monstrosity for the NFRD.
Monstrosity pushing her way through and gets recycled out to the outside. Luscious Lynn with a great block, and there we go. Lady Bits out and around, 1407 for Jane Deere.
And Lady Bits is unfortunately a casualty of this really slippery track.
It looks slick out there, it really does.
Yeah.
And calling it off from her knees.
Jane Deere's maintaining their lead, keeping Boom at a big O, bringing their score up to 10 points with 27 minutes left in this half. And we have our first matchup back up at the line. Masquerade 624 for the Jane's Deers, and we have number 111 Joe Means Joe for NFRD.
Luscious Lynn getting prepped and ready to go. Gypsy Joe making her way through. Mamer take a foul. Oh, and there we go. That is number 624 Masquerade with lead jam status, but not far behind is our jammer for the Boom. Heading back into the pack. Masquerade sweeping on by. Oh, and a great block. And the jam is called off. 3 points picked up there for Jane Deere on that round there, and 0 on that one for the Boom.
NFRD's blocker number 17, Troublegum, did great to hold Masquerade there up on corner 2, causing the call off.
For sure, for sure. Rogue Rash going up against Space Marauder, I believe.
That's right.
That's
yeah.
right. There we go. Space Marauder making her way through. Some pushing, some bumping, and a recycle for Rogue Rash coming back into the track. Some great, oh, and a great block, and another push out by number 4321. And we're still trying to make our way through the first, oh. And it looks like we got a penalty going to Jane Deere.
And NFRD gets their first lead of the game, with Space Marauder taking the lead, popping out at the front of the pack in corner 2 to get through. Looking to put some points on the board for the Boom. Space Marauder calls for some offensive help. Gets by that last blocker, calling it just in the nick of time, putting 4 points on the board for the Boom, putting Jane Deere's at nothing for that jam.
That was a swift little move around there. That was a pretty cool calling off the jam there at the end. That was awesome.
We're going to have just under 25 minutes on our first period playing clock as we have Lady Bits coming up against
On the line for the Jane Deeres, we have Lady Bits, number 1407, up against number 42, Monstrosity for the Boom. Lady Bits doing some defensive blocking first before she heads through the pack. Jane Deere's putting some offensive pressure to get their jammer out on the outside as Monstrosity is hit to the outside and brought back to the pivot line. Dame Tamer from the NFRD pushes Lady Bits to the outside and bringing her all the way back to the jammer line. Monstrosity fighting on the inside of corner 1 and gets out for lead. Lady Bits is fighting those last Boom blockers and is pushed to the outside and recycled to corner 1. Still working on her initial pass as Monstrosity has now re-entered the pack up on the apex of corner 1 and 2 to score some points for the Boom. Boom did well to maintain that lead and to hold Lady Bits back.
Absolutely.
Lady Bits was still cold, though, so they could have maybe put in a few more points before calling it, but all in all, we've got 4 points on the board for the Boom, as the boom just knocks off a few points from
Yeah.
that lead from the Jane
Tightening
Deeres.
up that lead, absolutely. 13-8 right now in favor of Jane Deere, as we have 23-27 and a timeout at this point for another little bit here. And of course, being here in Calgary, we'd like to thank everyone who was involved with this WFTDA sanctioned tournament, including our non-skating officials, our officials, all our volunteers, our announcers, everyone here that put on a fantastic event here at Day 2 in Calgary, Alberta. Looking at our points per jam as well, you can see the spread with Jane Deere picking up a few extra ones in the start. And so you kind of look at the bars there and you'll see where the points have been taken up so far. So we'll come back to this throughout the game, but just a point to note as we continue on through this game. I also want to take a quick look at our penalties for this game as well so far. We've had a few of them. And so there we go, Jane Deere. Oh, this is interesting. You know, I haven't seen this before. Outline what this means. You know, I'm looking. Do you know what that means? I'm trying to, like, it's kind of, you know, a great little layout there.
I'm not 100% sure, to be honest.
Me either. This is the first time I've
But
seen it
it
laid out
appears
this way.
that we've got two penalties on the Jane Deere side.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So we've got a little bit of glitchy things with our penalties, but it does appear that Jane Deere's have 2 penalties to none for the NFRD. So NFRD is doing well to play nice and clean, as they've got 3 blockers on the track. Schmidt Disturber returns to the track from the penalty box just in the nick of time for that jam to be called off.
Yeah, and the crowd was going wild. They were loving that one as the jam gets called off.
Jane Deere's increased their lead by 4 points. So we're sitting at 17-8 for the Jane Deeres. Both teams are sitting at full strength to start this jam off. So on the line for the Jane Deeres, we have 393 Rogue Rash up against number 28, Space Marauder for the NFRD Boom. Space Marauder fighting that very last Jane Deere blocker at the front of corner 1 to get out as your lead jammer.
Rude Barbie with some great blocks there, cycling that jammer, coming back out as Rogue Rash does make her way around the bend.
Rogue Rash with a fancy twist on her toe stop to get out as she completes her initial pass. And Space Marauder puts 4 points on that board, bringing the score to only a 5-point difference.
That's right, and as we know in Derby, that can swing around at any time, so it's really anybody's game at this point, and still lots of Derby left to play.
Absolutely. On the line for the Jane Deeres, we have 1407 Lady Bits up against number 42 Monstrosity for the Boom. Monstrosity trying for the outside as Lady Bits takes the inside. Monstrosity is pushed to the inside of the track and brought back, while Lady Bits goes to the penalty box. I'm not sure what her penalty was. So we have our very first power jam
Our first power
of the
jam.
day.
There you go.
Awesome. Monstrosity trying her best to stretch out that pack, and she does so on corner 2, getting out as lead jammer.
And a second penalty to Jane Boom, so that is 2 in the sin bin as Monstrosity makes her way back around into the pack. Squeezing
Joe
on
means
through.
Joe goes in for some offense. Oh no, that was Schmidt. Schmidt goes
yeah.
in for offense. Oh, as a jammer, that is the hardest part of that power jam, is pushing those last few blockers.
Yep.
Lady Bits is out from the penalty box. Completes her initial pass as Monstrosity re-enters the pack on corner 4. The Boom puts some offensive pressure, and Monstrosity calls it just in the nick of time, preventing any points to the Jane Deeres. That was a huge jam.
It really was.
For the Boom.
There's a lot of action in that one.
It was.
As always, it's always great to see all the action out here. And as we continue on, we have 19 minutes and 55 seconds left in the first half of this bout. And we're tied. We're all tied up. Look at that.
Oh, my goodness.
I know, right? Like, that just came out of nowhere. So.
That is so exciting. Woo.
This is awesome.
So NFRD will start with number 22, Schmidt-Disturber, in the penalty box. Gypsy Joe with a big hit on Masquerade in the inside. And Joe Means Joe exits on what we call the hot spot.
The hot spot. What is the hot spot?
The hot spot is just before corner 1, and it's typically where most jammers get through. Yes, it is the first lead for Joe Means Joe, which is fantastic.
Fantastic indeed.
Yeah, so I guess there was a huge study done on where jammers typically get out on the track.
Okay.
And it created, so they did like a spot chart on where they typically get out.
Yep.
And the hottest spot was just before corner 1.
Well, the more you know. The more you know.
Yeah,
I would have not. Yeah, I wouldn't know. So that's great to hear.
Yeah, so it's nice to capitalize on those hot spots.
For sure. All right, the hot spot. Moving forward, the hot spot, folks. Now we know.
5 and 5 each.
Whew. Yikes, that penalty box is looking quite full. We've got 2 blockers in the penalty box for Boom. And we also have a lead change. So Boom takes the lead at by 3 points after the last jam.
Yeah. Whoa!
As the Jane Deeres take the lead.
Wow.
Huge hit
That was
on
huge.
Rude Barbie there. I'm not sure who made that hit from the Jane Deeres, but on corner 3.
It was right here, number 69, Lush Luther. My goodness. That was a push and a half.
Now that's offense.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
All right, we've got a new jammer up for Boom. We have 11:29. Repeat up at the line for the NFRD Boom. And we've got a
Timeout.
Team timeout. Team timeout green. All right, so let's just talk about the very first 10 jams. All right, so the Jane Deeres took lead 5 times and were scoreless for 5. And same with Boom. Boom took lead 5 times and were scoreless for 5. So it's split right down the middle. Frankly, the score is
really shows that.
It very much shows that. Yeah.
It really does. And both teams have run the same jammer rotations as well. So the same jammers are coming through in the same rotations throughout the first half here as well.
So far for the first jams, and now NFRD is going to put out a brand new jammer.
Yeah. And the timeout seems to be wrapping up as we get back to the jam line.
All right. So we're nearing the halfway mark on this half. We've got 17 minutes left so far. Both teams are, they're having a party in the penalty box.
They're having a party. Always having a good time on a Saturday morning.
Yeah. NFRD Boom has 2, and Repeat gets out as your lead jammer with Lady Bits just flying by her. Repeat looks at her bench for a little bit of reinforcement, asking what to do as the pack picks up speed and slows down. No, it's picking up speed again. NFRD doing their best to clear that penalty box. Sometimes that's just what you got to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get lead, run it until everybody's out.
Yep, that was a quick jam right there as we get our new set of folks back onto the track.
Yeah, NFRD did great to really capitalize on their purpose for that particular jam. Sometimes you just got to clear the box.
Absolutely. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah. We can do points later.
Yep.
All right, we've got a common matchup. Up on the line for the Jane Deers, we have 624 Masquerade up against 1111 Joe Means Joe.
Oh, we got a
Joe
penalty going
means-
to number 8.
Oh, and Joe Means Joe runs down that inside
Ooh.
line as Jane Deere's jammer Masquerade goes to the penalty box on a high block.
Joe Means Joe coming in on the inside.
Oh,
An
bitty
easy
hop.
pass. Wow. That was great. Picking up 4 points for the Boom. Coming back in, makes another swift move, then breaks through, picking up another 4 points for the Boom. What a great jam so far. Number 8 coming back into the track.
Masquerade's
and
penalty is
Joe Means
over,
Joe trying to squeeze through.
but she is still on her initial pass, if I'm not mistaken.
I do believe so.
So she is only just getting through to complete that initial pass. That's correct. But Gypsy Joe calls it, having a huge, huge jam, putting 11 points on that board, taking the lead.
That was quite the jam.
Yeah,
A jam and a half, you might say.
yeah, absolutely.
And we're approaching the halfway mark at 50 minutes left in the half with Rogrash up against Marauder for our 2 jammers. Both jammers fighting their way through. A couple slips and falls. And we're moving our way through. Oh, and a swift move as Rogrash swiftly makes her way around in the crowd. Cheers, of course, as she makes her way around. But not far behind is Marauder, who's coming around the bend as well. Well, let's see what's going on with Rogrash. Oh, and a pass! And she is gone and calls off the jam just in time for the Boom's jammer to not come back in from behind.
Yep. So now it's Jane Deere's turn to chip away at that lead.
Mm-hmm.
So even nice and early, we've got some great fans.
Yeah, which is great to see at 9:20 in the morning in Calgary, Alberta.
All right, on the line we have repeat number 1129 for the NFRD Boom up against Lady Bits for the Jane Deers. Repeat is fighting against Lush, one of the Jane Deere blockers. Removes her star, causing some chaos, passes it. Oh, just trying so hard. It's like they just need longer arms, like go gadget arm.
Exactly. Oh, nice little hit there, but Lady Bits gets right back up into the pack and pushing her way through. And she's still fighting, and she breaks through, picking up 3 points. As I look at the referee, yes, that is 3. And number 6'5" for the Boom comes back into the track.
And we have a successful star pass to the NFRD's pivot Monstrosity, who's been jamming so far today.
Yep. Wow, another 4 points. Lady Bits and calls off the jam, picking up those 4 points.
We have a lead change.
Yep. Wow.
Lead change number 3. And we've only played like 18 minutes.
I know.
Unbelievable.
I know. This is Derby. Anything can happen. Like, look at the point spread. 36 to 31. My goodness, anything can happen.
Yeah.
And as we're getting here, we have, I believe that's Masquerade 624 going up against Joe Means Joe, number 1111 for the Boom.
I know that. And because you keep saying Gypsy Joe, I almost said
Masquerade out in front, taking that lead jam stats, but certainly not far behind Joe Means Joe, just in the back. The pack gets settled and ready to embrace Masquerade as she comes back in. A great block and a fall, and a calling off of the jam by Masquerade. Certainly, Flat Track Fever 2019 would not be possible without our fantastic hosts, Calgary Roller Derby and Chinook Roller Derby. Thank you, certainly, for all your hard work.
It's here somewhere.
We have 11:26 remaining in this half. Road Rash up against Marauder. Road Rash squeezing in on the side as the jam just pushes on through. And we have two people coming back into the track, but it is Road Rash taking that lead jam status as Marauder pushing her way through, gets around the outside and squeezes by. Road Rash is coming back into the pack. And it looks like we have, I heard a penalty call, I think. Yeah, number 162, I do believe, is heading off for Jane Deere. And number 162 is Luscious Lynn heading to the penalty box as we get a reset for the next jam.
Today's record, first thing in the morning, flatbreads are Landon, Bay, Squid, Judge, Busty,
Oh, perfect timing.
Intervener.
So just quickly, so without officials, we would not be able to do this and play this amazing
Absolutely.
game. So let's just take a moment. So all of our official crews are all called after, they're named after breads. So we have the flatbread crew this morning.
Oh, nice.
So on that crew, we have Landon, Bay, Squid, Judge, Busty, Carmen, Intervener. And we also have Matzonan as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much for all of their help. Absolutely, as we couldn't do it without them. And we're taking a quick team timeout here as well, as we have 10 minutes and 26 seconds left in this half here on an early Saturday morning in Calgary, Alberta at this WFTDA sanctioned tournament. And we got a great game so far. It is still tight between the Jane Deere and the Boom as well. 41-33 in favor of Jane Deere.
So far in this half, the highest points scored has only been 11 points.
Really?
So both teams are doing extremely well to just really shut down those jammers and capitalize on the formations to just keep those jammers at bay.
Absolutely. And our jam started off here with Lady Bits up against Monstrosity.
Lady Bits pushed to the outside and brought back to the jammer line as Monstrosity is also pushed to the inside. Lady Bits is out on that hot spot.
Yeah, the hot spot.
For your lead jam. A big offensive sweep by the NFRD Boom to get Monstrosity out in the inside line. NFRD hits Lady Bits to the outside. Lady Bits calls it. And we've got 2 points on the board for Monstrosity as Lady Bit called it.
Yes.
And no points for the Jane Deere. So the Boom are doing well to really chip away at this lead. I mean, it's so close, 6 points.
Yeah, my goodness. And these are rival teams, aren't they? Like,
They
they've
are.
played quite a few times in the past.
All the time, yep.
I do believe. I'm from Saskatchewan, so I haven't seen them as often as you might have from Edmonton.
Yeah, it's always a great game when we put these two teams together. On the line, we have number 624 Masquerade for the Jane Deers and 1111 Joe Means Joe.
Ooh.
Joe on the inside,
Oh,
giving Masquerade a little push
I love the jammer on jammer
and a
action.
little push to the outside, and Joe Means Joe just puts the jets on, getting by. NFRD does their best to get through. And we've got 1 point for the Jane Deers and 2 for NFRD. That
Wow.
jammer on jammer hit was well worth it for that 1 point.
I always love seeing that jammer on jammer action. It's always great to see the competitive nature come out in that swift motion as well. Coming up to the line, Rogue Rash, number 393 for Jane Deere, coming up against number 28. That is Space Marauder for the Boom. Rude Barbie was trying to make her way through with the block, but it is in fact Marauder who's trying to make her way through and gets in on the inside track.
Oh, that was a photo finish for lead, and Jane Deere's come out as lead. Rogrash is told from the sidelines, calling it off. They need to capitalize on the time to prevent any points scored against them. So time management is a super important part of managing score as well.
I believe it.
When you've got lead, you want to either run it long if the opposing jammer is not scoring points.
Yep.
Or if the other jammer is out, you want to call it to just start over and try again.
That's right. And we're off with Lady Bits going up against Monstrosity. And Lady Bits taking the outside lane, out and around, taking lead jam status. And we still have Monstrosity making her way through, but some great blocks by Jane Deere. And Lady Bits making her way around again. Oh, takes a good little block there. It's trying to squeeze through, but gets recycled, coming back up from behind as Monstrosity finally makes her way around.
Jane Deere's blocker is going way, way to the 20-foot mark. Dame Tamer with a huge hit on Lady Bits on the inside line, getting Lady Bits to call it off.
We have just over 6.5 minutes left in this half.
We've got an official timeout.
And okay, I'm like, it looks like a timeout. I didn't see anything. Yep, we have a timeout.
So I think there's some penalty box questions that they're just going to clarify.
Clarity is always important.
So if you're planning on stopping by today, we actually have a skater ramp that
Yes, we do.
anybody can skate on. You just have to sign a waiver, sign your life away on your firstborn, and then you can just skate
Why
all
not?
day.
That's right.
You know?
Who wouldn't, right? It's a great little half pipe over there in the corner. It looks great. Last night I saw some great skating up there, and I'm like, I could never do that. So if you are more than interested, feel free here at the Acadia Recreation Complex in Calgary, Alberta.
Yeah. Last time I was on a ramp, it was like 4 inches tall, and I was like, okay, I can do this. And away I go.
And you just did it.
Yeah.
Gotta embrace it. Masquerade taking lead jam as we still have Joe Means Joe making her way around, getting some great action in the pack. Masquerade coming back around as Joe Means Joe does make her way through.
Pam Cakes with a huge hit on Masquerade to the inside line, forcing a call off by Masquerade. Masquerade puts 3 points on the board for that scoring pass, bringing their lead to 48 points to 37 over the Boom, with only, well, just less than 6 minutes left in play for this half.
Absolutely. And it's been a great half so far. Current score 48 in favor of Jane Deere versus the 37 points for the Boom. And we have a timeout called as well as the officials gather in the middle of the track to discuss.
So let's talk about lead jammer status.
Let's do it.
So lead jammer status has been going kind of back and forth between both teams.
Mhm.
Both
It
teams
really
are
has.
very strong on the defensive side, and they're very well matched for jammers as
They
well.
really are. They really are.
And
in
it
terms
really
of size and
shows.
speed, like they're just a great matched up team overall.
And oftentimes, one of the hardest things is to match up your jammers to the opposing team's jammers correctly to make sure to capitalize on what you can do out on the track to put the points up on the board. And with such a close score, obviously both benches have done really well to do that.
They really have. And I'm glad they're taking a timeout to catch a breather, as it's been a pretty action-packed half so far.
Yeah. All right, if you're enjoying your time at Flat Track, please help us extend a warm thanks to tournament hosts Calgary Roller Derby and Chinook City Roller Derby. As you enjoy your time at Flat Track, please help us extend, oh, whoops. That's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
I know, it's early. It's so early.
It's so early. We haven't had our 3 cups of coffee yet.
All right.
More
Space-
jammer on jammer action. I love it. Ooh.
Space Marauder putting some coffee. I know, Dev. I know. I have it right here. I should just drink it. Space Marauder putting some extra pressure. But she has lead, so Space Marauder actually has the opportunity. Oh, they're looking to clear the bench. See, time management.
Yeah, time management.
Rude Barbie is doing well to maintain some speed on the pack to keep this nice long jam to try to get that penalty box cleared. Rude Barbie hitting the Jane Deere's jammer to the inside line. Space Marauder exits on corner 2 for full 4 points. As Rogue Rash exits as well on a 4-4 point. NFRD Boom is nearly at full strength with Pancakes standing in the penalty box. And now Marauder enters the pack, putting just an extra point or two on the board. 1 point for that pass, just in the nick of time.
Absolutely. And with that, we have just over 4 minutes left in this half. A great action-packed jam, and really half at this point. And the current score, 52 points for Jane Deere versus the Boom with 42. Here we go, Lady Bits, Monstrosity. Let's do it. Monstrosity is pushing her way through in the back of the pack. Pushing, pushing, pushing on her toe stops. Going around to the outside. Squeezing on by, but it is Lady Bits taking that lead jam status, and we got a hit against Monstrosity. The pivot is down and out, but Monstrosity makes her way around and is going around the track. And a quick, swift move, Lady Bits, and calls off the jam, picking up 4 points. A swift, easy move for that, picking up those 4 points.
Quick slide on the outside lane there for the Jane Deere's jammer just to put those 4 points and maintaining their lead at 56 points to 42. We've got about 3 minutes left in this half, and it still is anybody's game. It's so close. The Boom have run into some penalty troubles again. They've got one more blocker in that penalty box as Masquerade does her best to get past those Boom blockers. And NFRD's Dame Tamer will enter the penalty box as Schmidt Disturber exits the box.
Yep. 4 points. Jane Deere picking it up. And we're getting ready to go again in this next jam with 2 minutes, 15 seconds remaining in the half. Rogue Rash, Space Marauder coming up next.
Ooh, last 2 minutes of play. This could potentially be the last jam.
It could. It really could.
See how it goes. All right, Jane Deere's had one extra blocker on. Yeah, they had one extra blocker on the track, and their pivot exited to fix that issue. Unfortunately, that means that they don't have a pivot on the track at the moment. Space Marauder gets out as your lead jammer for this jam, as NFRD's Boom has only 2 blockers on the track. Actually, both teams only have two blockers on the track. Yeah. We've got a cut track penalty on NFRD's Boom Malady. Working the clock again as Space Marauder stands. There she goes. Puts her hands to her hips.
So it won't be our last jam.
No,
as
one
that
more.
One was called off early. Less than a minute to go in the first half of this exciting matchup. Current score, Jane Deere 64, Boom 46.
Rude Barbie will remain as the only blocker on the track for the Boom. Rude Barbie skating forward, doing her best to cause a no-pack situation for her jammer. Lady Bits going to the penalty box on a, what's that called? A high block.
I think it was.
Giving NFRD as, what's it called? Power jam.
Power jam. It's a power jam.
I did have coffee, I promise.
Gypsy Joe picking up 4 points, making her way around. And here we go.
nfrd. So the penalty box is like a revolving door at the
It
moment.
really is at this point.
Jane Deeres are at full strength on the track at the moment as Joe Means Joe is pushing against those last 3 blockers. Lady Bits enters from the penalty box. Alrighty, so this period timer is over. We're still waiting for the jam timer.
There it is.
Joe Means Joe puts her hands to her hips, calling it, and that is a half.
That is a half. My goodness. I believe that was 8 points for the Boom, if I am not mistaken. As we'll see our scoreboard get updated here in short time as well before we start our intermission as well.
Wow, we've only got a 10-point lead here by the Jane Deeres. So the next half will be extremely interesting to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's already counted. Oh, okay. All right, so we'll see you guys in 15 minutes. Yeah, be sure to join us back for Game 7, and we'll see you in a bit.
On the other side, this is Professor Aggressor.
And Clumsy Lover.
See you in a bit. And welcome back, everybody, as we are just finishing off our intermission before we start the second half of this exciting game that continues between Jane Deere and the Boom.
All right, so in our first exciting half, we had 5 lead changes. Unbelievable. The Jane Deeres had lead 15 out of 25 times, but served 3 jammer penalties, giving the nfrd 3 power jams. The Boom have done really well with their jammers, having no jammer penalties.
Wow.
But let's talk about their blockers.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh my goodness. The penalties that we had for the blockers. So we have 3 players with 4 penalties each. We have Repeat, Schmidt, and Malady having 4 penalties each in the first half.
I'm not sure exactly what their penalties were off the top of my head, but starting off the second half with 4 penalties in your pocket, they're going to have to play extremely clean to stay out there.
Well, let's tell the folks at home how it works. How many penalties can you have and what happens when you get to the max?
All right, so one last stat is our highest scoring jams. We had Jane Deeres, number 1407, scored 11 points. And for the Boom, number 1111 scored 11 points as well. So our point scoring per jam is still extremely low, and it's obvious by the points themselves with not even breaking 100 yet.
Yeah, true.
We're sitting with only a 10-point difference. It's showing.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
All right, so getting started with our second half, I'm Clumsy Lover.
And I'm Professor Aggressor.
And you've got us for another half hour.
We have 1 minute left until we start this exciting second half again. Current score readout, Jane Deere 64, Boom 54. We're going to have a great matchup. This is it's been such a tight game so far in the first half. And I'm sure we'll see more of that in the second as well. Some great derby action. And it's going to continue to be a fantastic game here in Calgary, Alberta at the Acadia Recreation Complex.
Yeah, we had some big hits, some very strong blocking.
Yes, absolutely.
We had the use of the hot spot.
The hot spot a couple times.
Hot spot?
That hot spot came in handy.
Yep. All right, on the line for our first jam of the half, we have Rogue Rash for the Jane Deeres and Joe Means Joe.
Yeah.
For nfrd Boom, who takes lead.
And we have a penalty, and the jam's called off. Penalty going to number, as I see you turn around, number 99 for Jane Deere. That is Brass Monkey going into the penalty box as the jam was called off, and we get reset for the next jam.
All right, so I just wanted to take a moment to get to put out a huge shout out to our announcing crew. We have some awesome people back here, both here on the house and on the broadcast, and it's not just us.
Of course.
We couldn't do it by ourselves. And we've got some great producers giving us some stats. So it's not just us and using our brains, it's people feeding us the information, and it's so vital to be able to
Absolutely.
hand out all that information.
For sure. Really appreciate it. And we have Lady Bits taking lead jam status as Marauder. We're looking at a star pass here, it looks like, trying to find that pivot for the boom. Gets recycled with the star in her hand, number 2-8. Squeezing around, but gets recycled as well. But picking up 4 points is Lady Bits for Jane Deere as well.
And we've got a successful star pass by the boom. Dame Tamer is your new jammer for the boom. Oh, push just 2 more feet. There we go. NFRD completes their initial pass in jam 2 of this half. Lady Bits waiting, and calls it off, touching her hips, bringing that scoring for that jam to 12 points for the Jane Deeres. They've exceeded their previous jams, or their previous halves.
Because it was 11, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Got to beat the record. So in our last half, both Masquerade and Monstrosity jammed, but I don't believe they jammed against each other in the last half.
You could be correct on that. We said their names so many times, it's just they're starting to blend together. But
You just
I'm
assume
sure
they're all out there all the time,
yeah,
right?
Exactly. Exactly. But here we go. Monstrosity pushing her way through in the back. Oh, and it gets recycled. Luscious Lynn with a hit. And here we go, Luscious Lynn making some great impact. And look at that tripod. Oh, there's a lot of work going on there for Monstrosity to get around, but Masquerade gets lead jam status. Monstrosity is still trying to push her way through. Masquerade squeezes on around, picking up, that is correct, 4 points for Jane Deere as she makes another pass around. And it looks like we have a star pass attempt, I do believe. And Masquerade is coming in the back, still pushing her way through. The boom trying to get a pass here. The star is still in hand as Masquerade makes another pass, picking up yet another 4 points for Jane Deere. Oh, and we have another whistle here as there's a penalty going to the boom. So another penalty there. And as well, Jane Deere, Masquerade, 4 points, another pass. Look at that, folks. That is 12 points so far in this jam for Jane Deere. Luscious Lynn in the pack. Repeat has the star now in hand, trying to make a way around. Repeat is getting hit by Mamer and trying to push her way through, but Masquerade, another pass, picking up yet another 4 points. My goodness. But Repeat, she took a quick little slide there as she gets recycled and has to come back in. So far, this has been 16 points for Jane Deere in this jam from Masquerade. And we have the jam called off. My goodness, 16, breaking the record yet again. Wow.
And our first full jam, our first full 2-minute jam of the game.
That's true. Oh, exciting stuff.
So Jane Deere's break away with the lead, bringing the score to 92-56 with 25 minutes left in this second half of the game. The Jane Deeres will start with one blocker in the box. Joe Means Joe is on the line as the jammer for the NFRD boom, while Rogue Rash is the jammer for the Jane Deeres. Rude Barbie goes in for her first penalty of the game as Joe Means Joe is doing her best to push that pack to its limits, gets a no pack pass, and out she goes on her initial pass. A rogue rush on the inside line. Gets by everybody without even a touch. Calling it for 4 points.
That's the way you like it. Not getting touched, squeezing on by. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
So NFRD Boom will start with only 2 blockers on that line. NFRD is set up at the very front with the chain gears in behind. Number 28, Space Marauders, your jammer for NFRD Boom. And Lady Bits is out there as the jammer for the Jane Deers and is sent to the penalty box on a cut track. So we've got a power jam.
A power jam. I was going to say, another one.
I wasn't even looking
I'm like,
over,
I'm
you're
looking
like,
at you. I'm like, it's a power jam. We're ready to go. So Marauder for the Boom, swinging on by and picking up 4 points for the Boom on this power jam. Which is always great. They're behind by 30 and a bit. Coming in back into the pack. Got some great action, a great block, a swift move, a block. Oh, look at that. Number 9-9 for Jane Deere. This Brass
Space.
Monkey, I do believe. That was a great block. As we have the jammer coming back in. Oh, here we go. Rude Barbie, look at that. Some great blocking. Oh, a shove there, number 2-2 from the Boom. And there is a lot of action here in this pack. Some bumping, some grinding, some falling. But it is Marauder going back out and around, picking up 4 points for the Boom. Ooh. Lady Bits took a tumble as well as, I think that was Rude Barbie. Oh no. Number 8 is down. Hope she's okay. Seems to be getting up slowly, but doing okay. Gets back into the track. Great to see. Heading back
All
in.
right. Jane Deere's jammer is back to the penalty box on a low block call. Huge offensive play by the NFRD Boom blocker line. Jane Deere's are now down to only 2 blockers on that track. Space Marauder calls for that offense. Dame Tainer with a little bit of pressure there. Space Marauder exits. And the jam comes to its natural end.
Do you see how many points are picked up on that jam?
Yeah, 16 points for NFRD Boom. Space
My
Marauder
goodness.
did great to really capitalize on that, the points.
I think
Closing in on
that's
the gap.
tied now for the highest between both teams. There were 16
Yeah.
both times.
Yeah, we went from 11 to 16 in
Wow.
just minutes.
In just minutes, for sure.
All right, so our score is sitting at 96 to 72 for the Jane Deers. We've got 21 minutes left in play in this game.
And in this jam, we have Joe Means Joe up against Masquerade. Masquerade in the back, trying to make her way through the pack, pushing to the outside. Gets shoved, but stays in. And Joe Means Joe picking up lead jam status. Masquerade takes a bit of a tumble, and Masquerade gets a penalty. Oh my goodness, 2 penalties for Jane Deere. Look at that. Joe Means Joe on another power jam as we're here. Oh my goodness. That was quite a hit to number 6-9 Lush Luther for the Jane Deere. But it is Joe Means Joe. Oh. Taking the penalty. And so when we have a jammer going to the penalty box with another jammer, as soon as she sits on the bench, the other jammer gets up and gone. So Masquerade coming back onto the track. Coming in from behind, the pack is moving. Oh my goodness, look at that hit from I'm sorry folks. Masquerade making her way around. But that hit was from, she has not turned around. I will tell you in just a second. Number 6-9. That was Lush Luther. Oh my goodness, that was a fantastic hit. And the second time at least that I've seen a very similar hit in the same section as well. We have Masquerade coming in the inside, squeezes on by, and picks up 4 points for Jane Deere. But not far behind, Joe Means Joe. Number 1-1-1-1 coming around, picking up 4 points for the Boom as well. So far in this jam, there's 4 points each for each team as well. Both jammers back into the pack. Masquerade and Joe Means Joe pushing their way through, and Joe Means Joe makes a swift move and a pass with Masquerade not far behind. So Joe Means Joe picking up 4 points as well as Masquerade. That is 8 points apiece as they make another exciting lap around the track with only a few seconds left in this jam. Let's see what happens. There is the whistle. And that's another 2 points each. Wow, another, a tie all the way around. 10 points and 10 points in that jam for both teams. That was an exciting jam.
Wow, with NFRD Booms serving their very first jammer penalties so far of the game.
Right.
Everybody did well to maintain the points and keeping the score nice and even. Fun facts for Booms jammers if you want.
And we have a timeout.
Yeah, let's just talk about the jammers here. So the NFRD Booms jammer number 28, Space Marauder, in the previous half had only been able to score about 3 points, but she defied the odds, and she scored 16 points in this half.
That is indeed correct. That was awesome. That was great to see.
Awesome. All right, and we're also looking at the points percentage per jammer for the NFRD Boom. Joe Means Joe has scored 40% of the points so far for the Boom.
Oh my goodness.
With number 28, Monstrosity, scoring about 30%.
Wow.
No, 28 is Space Marauder, my apologies, has scored about 30% now with her big 16-point jam. And then number 42, Monstrosity, has scored 11 points so far. So, you know, their scoring has really increased in the second half.
It really has.
But for both teams.
And we're getting lined up and ready to go with Rogue Rash up against Monstrosity. In a flash, getting nice and close to Monstrosity. And here we go at the start of this jam. Both jammers making their way through. Monstrosity gets recycled by ND 265, number 265. And we have both jammers still trying to make their way through as Rogue Rash is gunning on the inside on the toe stops, and a great shove, but stays inside. And
it's the hot spot.
That was
she
a hot
got
spot.
out on that hot
You gotta
spot.
love that
Nice.
hot spot. Lead jam status going to Rogue Rash. A couple of penalties, one each for both teams. And, oh, what is this? Oh, okay, I thought that was a penalty for another second. But Monstrosity is back in, pushing her way through. Penalty goes to Jane Deere as well, as Monstrosity is making her way around for the first time. So no points on this lap, but we continue on with Rogue Rash squeezing on through, and that is 4 points for Rogue Rash and the Jane Deere Boom. Now, back in the action, Monstrosity has got some help in the front, and lets her go. So Monstrosity picking up 4 points for the Boom as well.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah,
Monstrosity capitalized on that no pack call to get through that those last few blockers to score her 4 points. Sometimes that's all you need is just a no pack.
Yeah.
A no pack is
right
like
on
a free
by.
pass.
That's
yeah.
right.
Love the no packs.
You can go pass go. You can even land on go and get $400 if you wanted to. It's just a free pass.
All right. On the line for the Jane Deers, we have number 1407, Lady Bits, who's jammed a lot this game.
Yep.
Alongside number 28, Space Marauder for the NFRD Boom. Both teams are at full force. And Lady Bits taking that outside line with a little bit of offensive help, with Space Marauder not far behind her.
Both jammers coming in around. Some bumping, some grinding, some falling in the pack. Oh my god. Oh, calls out the jam and takes a hit. That is Jane Deere calling out the jam. And look at that. A swift move, picking up that 3 points for Space Marauder. So wow, 3 points each on that jam. A great jam.
Oh, the smiles. I love the smiles.
Smiles are great. Do they still make those smile like potato things from like McCain? Do you remember those?
Oh, yeah, the little potato guys.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do they
with
still sell those?
I think so.
Because I haven't seen them in a long time. Not that I've looked for them, but just thought of it right now. Here we go. Masquerade. Joe Means Joe. Jammers for this jam. Both of them trying to make their way through. Masquerade in the back. Sneaks around the outside, and yes, she is through as she gets lead jam status for Jane Deere. Joe Means Joe making her way through. Oh, there we
Joe
go.
means
She's
Joe
making her
just
way.
needs to push by those
Yeah.
last 3 Jane Deere blockers. The pack is stretched out across corner 3. Joe means Joe takes that inside line and is served a cut track penalty. It must have just been a little toe on the inside there. Jane Deere's run in for some offensive pressure there on the apex of corner 3 and 4 as Masquerade enters on a scoring pass for Power Jam. Both teams are settled in between the pivot and the jammer line now. Jane Deere's are set up on the inside line. Mamer with a big hit as Masquerade is pushed down.
And still pushing her down.
White 1-4 goes to the penalty box. So both teams, no, we've got 4 blockers on the track for the Jane Deeres and only 3 for NFRD. Boom, as Masquerade is fighting those last 2 white blockers trying to get through. Joe means Joe is fighting to get through those green blockers as she's now back on the track. And she gets by on a single foot on the inside line of corner 2 with no points for that pass. So we've got a score of 128 for the Jane Deeres to 89 for the Boom, sitting at the halfway mark for this half.
The
We've
half
got
for the
14
half.
minutes. The half of the half.
Half of the half.
Yeah. Do you drink your coffee half and half?
Not me. You know, I've decreased from a double-double to a 2 cream, 1 sugar kind of guy. So, you know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Okay. Going up next in this exciting jam, Rogue Rash versus Monstrosity on the jam line. And we have some great action with Rogue Rash coming around the outside. Yes, yes, she does. Coming around. And we still have Monstrosity making her way through. Pushes to the inside. And out, back. Oh, my goodness, look at that. And a swift move. And she's making her initial pass as well. Rogue Rash back into the pack. Oh, my. What a great hit by number 2. Yes, oh, my goodness. Wow.
Pam Cakes exit for another penalty, so she must be sitting at about 6 now.
Let's take a look. For the Boom?
Yep.
Let's take a look. Penalty for the Boom. Let's
Now,
see here.
My apologies, it looks a little bit funny. It hasn't been quite updated. So she started this half off with 4 penalties. Yep. No, she only started with 2, so she's only sitting at 4, so that's right. We've got 4 penalties for Pancakes, but Schmidt Disturber is sitting at 5 penalties. Melody's been clean and is sitting with 4, 5. And we've got more penalties all over the place for the Boom. Let's have a look at the Jane Deeres there.
Yeah, let's take a quick look as I have my swift motion on our computer. Here we go.
All right, so the Jane Deeres are looking a little bit cleaner. We've got 4 penalties for C3PO. We've got 4 for Lush Luther. And they play often. They play out there a lot.
Yeah, they do.
So, but for the most part, the Jane Deeres are playing quite a clean game. Except for their jammers, I guess, right?
Yeah, that's right.
But it happens, you know.
You know, I also want to take a look at the points per jam. I know we haven't looked at this in a little bit of time as well. So there's the spread. So the higher the bar on each side, the more points obviously you see. And if there are 2 colors on each one, that means that both teams picked up points in that jam as well. So just nice to see the point spread as well and where it's going as we continue on with 12 minutes and 50 seconds left in this game. Current score, Jane Deere, 132, Boom, 89. And we're getting ready for the next jam. We have the Lady Bits and Space Marauder on the line. All right, getting set up, ready to go in this exciting game. Jane Deere, Boom, let's do it. Whistle goes. And it's Lady Bits, look at that. Not even touched on the inside, making her way around. Marauder still trying to find her way through the pack. Getting bumped and shoved by Jane Deere. Oh my goodness, and a penalty going to Jane Deere as well as Marauder makes her way around for the initial pass. Rude Barbie is coming back in from the penalty box. And Lady Bits calls off the jam with that one as well.
All right, so Jane Deere's have had 5 lead jam statuses in the last, in a row here in the last 5 jams.
Yep.
and it's showing in the score.
It really is. And for the folks at home, I think I mentioned this earlier, and I don't think I finished my train of thought. Let's talk about penalties and how it works. What's the maximum number of penalties that a player can have, and what happens if they do get that maximum?
So you can serve up to 7 penalties, and when you serve that 7th penalty, what you'll do is you'll be put in the box of shame. The box of shame, and you will not return to play. If the jam hasn't completed, you'll have to just wait it out in the box of shame, and your team will finish that jam without you.
There you go. All right, back into the action. We have Masquerade taking lead jam status, but not far behind is Joe Means Joe, number 1111 for the Boom. Here we go. Also, we have a penalty to number 106. Oh my goodness, there was quite a
Joe
few
Means Joe.
bumps.
Joe Means Joe comes in hot, hitting her own blockers by mistake, but
Yeah.
it happens.
It does.
It's all good. So, but Joe Means Joe puts 3 points on the board for that pass to Masquerade's only 2. So they'll chip away at this lead as best they can.
That's right. 138-92, the score in favor of Jane Deere.
All right, on the line we have NFRD's 42, Monstrosity, and the Jane Deere's 393, Rogue Rash. Rogue Rash is out on the inside line as your lead jammer. For the 7th jam in a row, Jane Deere's have taken lead. Jane Deere's are down to only 2 blockers on that track as Monstrosity. Did she get there soon enough? She did. So both jammers will put 4 points on that board for that jam, as the Jane Deere's will start with only 2 blockers on the track.
That's right. And that's Derby for you. All right. We have just over 10 minutes left in the second half, which has been an exciting game so far. The spread is a bit more than we have seen in the past. 142 for Jane Deere, 96 Boom. Here we go. We have a Lady Bits up against Marauder on the jam line. And it is Marauder taking lead jam status, followed not far behind by Lady Bits as the pack is moving. We got some interesting formations there as we have Marauder picking up the pace, coming into the back, making her way around the inside. Stopped there by Jane Deere. Marauder. There's a great block there by In a Flash. And Marauder picking up 4 points for the Boom. The Lady Bits as well, picking up 4 points for Jane Deere as well, as the pack is moving and grooving, making their way for Marauder to come back around into the pack.
All right, so the penalty box is on a revolving door on both teams, as both teams regain some blockers to the track. We've still got 1 more blocker in the penalty box for the NFRD Boom, as the Jane Deere's put on some offensive pressure for Space Marauder. Lush Luther making a big hit on Space Marauder right in front of her bench.
Great action to see right in the front. That was 4 points picked up in that round.
So jammers are even on point scoring for that jam. We're sitting at 150 for the Jane Deere, so the 104. We've got 8.5 minutes left in this game.
What was the max? 5? 4? 4 still? For penalties?
5.
There's 5?
5 now. All right, on the line we have our common matchup right from Jam 1. We have Joe Means Joe up against Masquerade, and for the first time in 8 jams, NFRD Boom has the lead. That is a fast pack.
Yeah.
That is an extremely fast
moving.
pack.
It's
That's
grooving.
like men's derby fast pack.
Sure, let's go with that.
They just go so fast. So Jane Deere's are capitalizing on some speed to try to draw out the time. And Joe Means Joe gets by for 4 points, denying any points to the Jane Deere's. They're chipping away 4 points at a time, bringing our score to 108 to 150 with 7 minutes on the clock.
This is our first scoreless jam.
Wow, this is our first scoreless jam in 9 jams for the
9
Jane
jams.
Deers. 9
Wow.
jams.
All right, here we go. Rogrash, Monstrosity on the line, making their way through. Monstrosity gets recycled.
A bit
Back
of a
in
pileup
from
there on the
behind.
inside line.
Ooh. Monstrosity takes a hit and goes down, but Rogrash getting that lead jam status for Jane Deere, making her way around. Monstrosity in the back, going to the outside. Now moves in, makes a move, makes a pass, and yes, that is the initial pass for that. And Rogrash making her way around, picking up 4 points for Jane Deere.
So the Jane Deers are going to do their best to pull as much time out of this jam as possible. Rogrash looking to her bench for the call, calls it as late as possible.
Yep.
So time management is really important when it comes to this type of game.
How
And when
important
you've
is
got-
it?
Well, when you've got lead, you want to try to draw the clock as long as you possibly can
Yeah.
so that you take away time from the other team to score points. So that's why you get those long-awaited hip taps.
Yeah.
They're like arms up, like, I'm
Yeah.
waiting, I'm going to do it now.
That's right. All right, Lady Bits, Marauder. Here we go. We had a quick tumble by number 1-5 for Jane Deere. But we're back up and ready to go. And it is Marauder for the boom, picking up that lead jam status. Oh, and we had a star pass for Jane Deere as she's making her way around, and that is number 1407 for Jane Deere, which is Lady Bits.
All right, there we go. So what's important here is that Space Marauder needed to score as many points in the shortest amount of time possible so that they can keep getting new jams to score more points.
Yep.
So Space Marauder did well to manage that time properly, putting 2 points on the board, preventing any points from the Jane Deers. Both teams are at full force for the first time in a long time, I think.
It has. That revolving door has closed.
Yes. Up at the line for the Jane Deers, we have number 624 Masquerade up against 1111 Joe Means Joe. Joe Means Joe is pushing at the very front of the pack and escapes in lane 2 for your lead jammer. Masquerade fights that last blocker at the front. Oh, we've got a star pass for the Jane Deers. So our new jammer for the Jane Deers
Brass
is
Monkey.
number 99.
Brass Monkey.
Joe Means Joe has a look to see where their score points are and calls it off, putting 4 points on that board, still chipping away at that lead.
Indeed they are. Score, 154. Jane Deere, boom, 114 with 3 minutes and 45 seconds left in the game. And that is a timeout.
Yeah, it's an official timeout. We've got some management required there in the penalty box.
Yep.
Giving us the opportunity to tell you about our vendor village.
Absolutely. Let's talk about our vendors. Let's take a look.
All right, so we've got a pretty big lineup for vendors today. We've got Nerd Roller Skates, Chantel Arbor's Leggings, Myolab, Kim Wheeler Fitness, Vox Life, Sueg Enterprises, Goodies Safety Services, Ice Scoops, which is like the best ice cream in the world. It's an ice cream truck outside.
They're coming at 6 o'clock tonight.
Yep. And we've got Arbonne and Votch Design.
Thank you to our vendors. Back into the action, we have Road Rash picking up that lead jam status. Monstrosity is the jammer for the boom. That pack is moving. It is grooving. It is moving right along. Rude Barbie out in front for the pack. Oh, we got a shove outside as Mamer gets back in as recycled. And wow, there's just so much action out there. Take a look at this. And we have Joe Means Joe back into the action, coming out of the penalty box. A slide by Rogrash out to the side, and she comes back into the pack. Rogrash trying to make her way into the pack as Joe Means Joe out in front has a couple folks left to get around on the outside, and she does. Joe Means Joe on the initial pass, as again she came out of the penalty box. So Rogue Rash with another pass, picking up 4 points for Jane Deere as well. And the jam is called off because the Boom are coming back around.
All right, Jane Deers are putting more points on that board, extending their lead, bringing the score to 158 to 114. We're down to the very last 2 minutes of this game. So let's talk about the offensive play that happened at the beginning of that jam.
Let's do it.
So there's passive offense.
Yep.
And that is the atypical thing of passive offense. So what they'll do is they'll run back to cause a no-pack situation,
Yep.
giving their jammer a free pass. Away you go.
Away you
and then
go.
they'll reform.
Oh my goodness, look at that. Lady Bits just squeezing on by, picking up that lead jam status. A great play. And for the Boom, we have Marauder out in front and passes on by as Lady Bits comes back into the pack. Oh my goodness, that was quite the hit.
Lady Bits with a huge hit on one of the NFRD
On
Boom
number 8-2.
blockers and goes to the penalty box on a back block. Space Marauder is out there on her own now as a power jam for NFRD. NFRD is putting some offensive pressure on the Jane Deere's pack, preventing them from reforming. Space Marauder down the outside line of the straightaway corner 2 and 3, gets through for 4 points. The Jane Deeres will get their last blocker back from the penalty box as they are holding back 2 of the Jane Deere's blockers. Space Marauder fighting that last green blocker to get through for another point. And Jane Deere's jammer is back on the track. So Lady Bits is working hard to get past Monstrosity at the back. Oh, my apologies. That's Jazernaut. Woo! Space Marauder pushes through those last 2 green blockers.
Jammer on jammer action again.
Yeah. Both teams are at full force on the track now, getting ready for the return of those jammers. We'll serve a full 2-minute jam. This is going to be the last jam of the game.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be.
Look at that.
Space
4
Marauder
points.
out first with 4 points with Lady
This
Bits
is a
not
20-point
far.
jam.
Oh my God!
That's crazy. The Boom are just coming back with 6 seconds left in the game.
Space Marauder scoring
What a game.
24 points on the last jam of the game.
24, look at that. That's a new record.
my gosh.
Breaking records all over the place. What a fantastic jam.
Space Marauder had a great game today.
Oh, she
in the
really
first
did.
half, she was only able to score about 3 points a jam. And then in the second half, she came out with guns a-blazing, obviously.
Really, really did.
Scored 16 points, and now to finish off that game with 24 points, she should be so proud of herself. That is such an amazing feat.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with that, our unofficial score at the end of this game is 166 for Jane Deere, 138 for the Boom. What a fantastic game. All throughout the game, we had lots of lead changes. Oh my goodness, such a fun time. Thank you so much, everyone who came out to see it and viewing it online. Again, we have another exciting game up here right away, so stay tuned as well. With that, oh, you have something else you want to say? I was going to wrap up, but you got something else.
Oh, I was going to let you know who was going to play next.
Oh, that makes sense. Let's do it.
All right. So up next, we'll have Game 8 at 11 o'clock. We have Fort McMurray Roller Derby taking on SRDL's Killa Bees.
That's right.
Yeah. So we'll see you guys at 11 o'clock. Thank you so much for watching, and have a fantastic day. I'm Clumsy Lover.
And I am Professor Aggressor. Thank you so much. Have a fantastic rest of your, hopefully a short break as you come back to see this next exciting game here in Calgary, Alberta.